Okay, in this video, I'm going to talk about anger again. I haven't talked about anger in a while. And there's something that has truly bothered me over the years about this with anger. And some will call this a conspiracy theory, and so would I. But I was reading a book, and it was published by the United States government. It's free, it was a free publication about anger and all that, anger management. And the thing about it's there's no copyright because it's for me, you're a citizen kind of thing. But basically, it was it said this about everything that I was reading. I'm not going to quote from it because I'm driving for one thing, and I don't memorize everything. But basically, one thing it was saying was, don't expect anything from anybody, as far as for people to behave in any normal, I don't even want to use normal. We've learned not to use the word normal. Any kind of fashion, don't expect that, because that's what's causing you to be angry. Basically, that's what it was saying. And I kept reading it, and I was thinking, this is wrong. This is absolutely wrong. This is like numbing people down. You're making everybody comfortably numb. That you don't have any kind of reaction to bad things. Okay, speaking of bad things, yeah, the sun made it go off, but the visual mess up. But yeah, it was. Now, I understand that there are people who need anger management courses because they're out there abusing people. How many of us know a lot of people who are that kind of people, that kind of person? And so sure, that's for them. But to teach the whole world that, anybody who's reading it, or this is the way it should be, people shouldn't expect anything, people to behave in a respectable manner. Of course you can say, well, who says it's respectable and blah, blah, blah. There needs to be some norm. There needs to be a norm of society, plain and simple, where certain things are not allowed. I mean, come on, without it, there's an issue, okay? And then, people say, well, what's normal? Well, deviate too far from it and you wind up in a psych ward, okay? Seriously. So there is a norm. Yeah, and so I'm reading this and I'm thinking, and a lot of other things, not just this. I was reading this years ago, and I've thought about it since. But a lot of things are like teaching us to be, to where you have no expectations of anything. No, like I said, there's no norm, so you might as well forget it. Now, I'm not saying something that if one culture does something one way, we should expect people from that culture to behave the way we do. That always irritates me when people say that. But I'm talking about things like, you don't go out and physically beat somebody up just because they don't mind you. This kind of thing. That extreme, no. It's just the little things you don't do. You don't step in front of somebody in line, because you think you need to hurry. You need to be first. There are little norms that kind of, not always universal, but yeah, to a degree, there needs to be that understanding, at least. Don't deviate from these kinds of things. There needs to be something. Yeah, you get it. Okay, but instead, what's seems to be happening so much is that it's twisting to where the things that are bad, that the rest of us need to accept it. The rest of us just need to accept the people are like this. They're bad. They're rude. We just need to accept it, and there's nothing you can say, or do, because that's the norm. Does that make sense? Yeah. So let's kind of combine this together. So we're taught that we're wrong if we expect people to behave in a good, proper manner, and we're not supposed to get angry about it if they don't. Now, anger is a strong word, and yes, we've been told forever that anger is a strong word, and as if that's a really bad thing. Really? Seriously? It's a normal reaction to something that's negative. But do you see where I'm going with this? It's just like, okay, the people who are having normal reactions shouldn't. You should not have normal reactions when somebody does something wrong. Really? That's wrong. That's enough to make a normal person angry. And I'm not saying I'm normal. Hey, I've been affected by this too. But yeah, to tell you can't get angry. Now, I'm not an extremely hostile person, or something. I don't go ballistic, and I understand people that do. They need to be, the ones to have the anger management. The ones that go ballistic, they don't have a limit. They don't have a cap to their anger. Yeah, I get that. I'm not saying that that's wrong. But just for everybody, everybody should realize, you just have to accept everything. You have to accept it. Well, we accept the fact that there are people on the earth, on the planet, who just don't care, narcissistic, whatever you want to call them, dysfunctional. But does that mean we shouldn't get angry? We shouldn't allow ourselves to feel anger? That's where I think it's going seriously wrong, because it's more of an acceptance of the narcissistic type, or any of those, to be this way and to say you can't say or do anything about it. That you shouldn't get angry. It's becoming more acceptable that they are that way, that they do these things. I don't think I'm making sense, right? But I think we can't allow ourselves to lose these freedoms. It seems like so much is being taken away from us already by narcissistic people. Making everything it's like a normal, like I do the videos, normalization of narcissism. So much is being taken away from us, so they can prevail. They can, but it becomes a disaster for people who are, some call healthy people, some who are empaths, some call whatever, the people who just aren't narcissistic, let's just put it that way. They're not abusers. It's becoming a disaster for us, to see. I mean, just to see it. I think everybody's eyes, the people who are like that, whose eyes, who aren't these narcissistic people, their eyes are opening to look, to see what in the heck is going on with this, Why is it, and it's only getting worse. Anything that's narcissistic is starting to become acceptable more and more and more. When our emotions, our reality of how we feel, even including, the situational depression is becoming a little bit, like, you shouldn't feel that way. If you were healthy, you wouldn't. No, you would. Okay? You would. You would see it when you see, this is my opinion, remember. When you see this kind of thing is being accepted, bad treatment toward women, or minorities, or anybody, and it's becoming more and more accepted. Like, wow. When it's like our country's, I shouldn't have said our country, but our world is being reversed. It's going through a reversal. We're going back to the olden days, where prejudice and discrimination and abuse, which is, oppression and all, was more accepted, hey, oh my goodness. Anyway, that's enough for this video for now, but if, you know what I'm saying, and this kind of thing brings about anger for me, like I've said in another video, somebody who's old enough to know this isn't the norm, okay, this isn't the way things work, they shouldn't, but anyway, so there's anger there. If you want to subscribe to this channel, click one of the circles. If you want to watch another video on this channel, click one of the rectangles. Like, subscribe, comment, share if you want. I'll talk to you on another video. Bye.